हाँ रागिब,
Sir has joined the meeting. So I request Nabiha and Anurag, who is the host today, to initiate the meeting.
okay. How many students are there?
Sir, right now 75 participants are with us.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
रागिब, ये जो लोग हैं, ये can you basically briefly inform me about the background of these students?
Sir,
If you
basically, most of the students are here who are with us belongs to law department of faculty of law Jamia Millia Islamia. They are law students basically,
Okay.
and law students ranging from first year to final year, that is 5th year.
Okay.
And outsiders are also there, such that the students from Jamia Millia Islamia from other courses, like many of the students are from political science honors, and some of them are from sociology, and other background students are also with us here.
Okay, student apart from Jamia Millia College University.
No,
There
sir. Students from Jamia Millia Islamia are only with us.
Okay.
But especially we are from faculty of law Jamia, and we are organizing this event. But we have also invited them to join this meeting.
Okay, good.
Okay. Sir, Sir Nabiha and Anurag, they are the hosts today. So could you please allow us to initiate the meeting?
Okay, काफी फॉर्मल बना दिया है.
तो सर लॉ के स्टूडेंट्स हैं तो थोड़ा फॉर्मल करने की कोशिश करते हैं.
फॉर्मल तो पुलिस वाले हो जाते हैं. I don't know about the law, but यहाँ पे फॉर्मेलिटी काफी ज्यादा हो रही है हमारी. So I will try to have informal conversation because the energy flow will be there.
बिल्कुल मैं आपको बता दूं कि सर जो है हमारे साथ, सर जो है बिहार से बिलोंग करते हैं, और सर का जो सर का जो नेटिव प्लेस है दैट इज मौलाना डी, एक राजगीर ब्लॉक जो नालंदा डिस्ट्रिक्ट में पड़ता है बिहार में. सर वहां से बिलोंग करते हैं, और सर ने जो अपनी प्राइमरी एजुकेशन है वो अपने गांव से ही की है. 12th तक जो है सर ने बिहार बोर्ड से ही पढ़ाई की है. चूंकि 11th-12th में सर पटना चले गए थे और वहां से उन्होंने पढ़ाई की अपनी, और वहां से जो है हर एक बिहारी स्टूडेंट की तरह सर ने भी जो है इंजीनियरिंग और मेडिकल में इंजीनियरिंग को चुना. और फॉर्चुनेटली
नहीं, ऐसा बायस नहीं है, ऐसा स्टेरियोटाइप ना बनाओ. बिहार से बहुत सारे डॉक्टर्स भी हैं.
बिल्कुल वही सर कह रहा हूँ कि या तो बच्चा जब पैदा होता है, जब मैं बड़ा हुआ तो मुझसे कहा गया कि इंजीनियर बनना है या डॉक्टर बनना है, मतलब बायो लेना है या मैथ्स लेना है. तो अमूमन होता है, तो मुझे लगता है आपके साथ भी यही हुआ होगा.
इस पे बात करेंगे हम थोड़ा आगे.
बिल्कुल. तो उसके बाद सर क्रैक्ड आईआईटी एग्जामिनेशन, और सर ने जो अपनी ग्रेजुएशन है सर ने बीटेक किया है, दैट इज फ्रॉम आईआईटी दिल्ली. और सर 2015 में उन्होंने अपनी आईआईटी ग्रेजुएशन कंप्लीट की थी. उसके बाद जो है सर यूपीएससी के प्रिपरेशन में लगे, और उसके बाद जो है आज हमारे सामने सर एक आईपीएस के तौर पर हम लोगों से बात करने के लिए आए हैं. सर इसके लिए आपका तहे दिल से शुक्रिया, और मैं आपका वेलकम करना चाहूंगा पूरे लॉ फैकल्टी की तरफ से कि आपने हमें अपना इतना कीमती वक्त दिया है. चूंकि सर जो है अभी अपने अंडर ट्रेनिंग है, और सर जो है सुबह 4 बजे उठते हैं और दिन भर मेहनत करते हैं एकेडमी में, और उसके बाद भी सर आपने वक्त दिया है, तो इसके लिए तहे दिल से शुक्रिया आपका.
शुक्रिया. फैक्ट तो फर्ज थी, सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थी हमारी. और जिस अंदाज से मुहिबुल्लाह ने बताया और रागिब ने इन्फॉर्म किया मुझे, तो ये मुझे एक अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म लगा, क्योंकि एक ऐसी चीज़ के लिए लोग जमा हो रहे हैं जो सोशल सर्विस तो है ही, इसके साथ नेशन की काफ़ी सारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अटैच होती है। तो इस
बिल्कुल
पे
बिल्कुल
बात आगे करेंगे। अनुराग और नबीहा, काइंडली इंट्रोड्यूस योरसेल्फ काइंडली।
सर। मैं पहले उनको इंट्रोड्यूस कर दूं कि नबीहा खुशनूद एंड अनुराग उपाध्याय, दे आर स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ फैकल्टी ऑफ लॉ जामिया, दे आर सेकेंड ईयर लॉ स्टूडेंट्स। और आज जो है सर आपसे इंटरेक्शन जो है यही दो बच्चे जो है आपसे करेंगे, और आपकी जो जर्नी है उसके बारे में बात करेंगे। और हम ये चाहेंगे कि आज जो एक घंटे का जो कीमती वक्त है आपके साथ जो हम गुजारने वाले हैं, तो उससे आज बहुत कुछ हम लोगों को सीखने का मौका मिलेगा। मैं इसकी उम्मीद करता हूँ पूरी तरह से।
और आगे 1 घंटा तो नहीं हो पाएगा, क्योंकि 9 बजे मेरी एक और मीटिंग है,
जी जी जी
यहाँ
जी
की
बिल्कुल
कमेटी की मीटिंग है, तो उसमें जाना है, तो
बिल्कुल।
थोड़ा सा शॉर्ट रखेंगे।
जी 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 हाँ नबिहा, आप शॉर्ट रखें और क्वेश्चन आप पूछें, जो डाउट्स हैं वो क्लियर करें। और तो वेलकम सर, इसको शुरू करते हैं ज्यादा लेट ना करते हुए।
थैंक यू, स्टार्ट किया जाए।
Hello, Namaskar, Adab. A very good evening to you all.
I, Nabiha Kushnod.
And I, Anurag Upadhyay, warmly welcome you to our weekly special show, the second lecture edition of the UPSC series, which is brought to you by Izhar Debating Society, which is a part of Faculty of Law, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Hey, Nabiha, have you heard about the term bureaucracy?
Of course, Anurag.
Can you please give some background on that to our audience?
Yes, Anurag, why? The word bureaucracy, which was coined in the early 18th century, and as the German sociologist Max Weber has famously defined it as a highly structured organization predicated on specialization and technical competence, a formal set of rules and regulation, a well-defined hierarchy, and impersonality. In the application of rules for India, there has no time in Indian history when civil servants did not play their role. The civil service system or bureaucracy originated during the British colonial era in India through the Government of India Act 1858, following India's independence, and at a period when the third world countries were seeking to develop skilled and competent professional services, India's top bureaucracy took a firm and unique stance. It provided and continues to provide India with autonomy and continuity that have remained unshaken even throughout periods of political instability and shaky political control at the national and state level.
Today, civil services are considered to be a very charismatic job, isn't it? How many of us have a dream to crack the Union Public Service Commission, that is the UPSC exam? On average, almost all parents inspire their children to be an IAS. But looking at the last 2 years average figures, more than 10 lakh students applied for the exam. Little less than 1,000 end up getting selected for the coveted posts. And this is because civil services journey is a rigorous one, physically and emotionally draining, in the process given the complexity and vastness of the UPSC syllabus and the nature of competition. It poses tremendous challenges to each aspirant. Many collapse, but few conquer, emerging victorious in this battle of talent, endurance, and perseverance.
And keeping these points in mind, Izhar comes to make your dream come true. If you dream of UPSC, think Izhar, because we came up with a special and insightful initiative to promote the culture and environment of the civil services examination.
In today's session, we will talk about an insight into UPSC civil services as a career. What goes behind the preparations for these marathon exams? How have the dynamics changed? And why do UPSC exams remain the most coveted in a country like India? So the time has come to start the session, but before that, let's look at some important specific guidelines. Audience are requested to keep their mic on mute during the address. However, they can keep their cameras open, but please make sure you don't create any disturbance.
Any kind of interruption in between will not be tolerated at all.
To reduce the communication gap and to make the session more interactive and interesting, we would try to conduct it in English and Hindi, both the languages. संवादहीनता को कम करने और इस सत्र को और भी अधिक रोचक बनाने के लिए हम इसे अंग्रेजी तथा हिंदी दोनों भाषाओं में संचालित करने का प्रयास करेंगे.
The question round will be held at the end, in which our audience can ask their question directly to our guest speaker by typing them in the chat box.
We hope that the audience will strictly adhere to these guidelines and maintain the decorum of the session throughout. Now it's the time to invite the wise man behind this wonderful idea and initiative. So please welcome the convener of Izhar Debating Society, Mr. Raghi Naushad, sir, to present the welcome address.
Raghib, are you there? I think Raghib is busy in something. We can start because time is very
Yes, sir.
important.
Sure, sir.
Should we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So every student are comfortable in English, or should we speak in Hindi as well?
Yes, sir, we are comfortable in English.
Okay. So a lot of thing has been said by Nabiha, that what is bureaucracy, and Anurag, someone has commented that are you the same person who is speaking metro? But it was good. It was professional, and that was expected from the lawyer community as such. So as bureaucracy has been introduced, that it is the Weberian concept of bureaucracy that she talked about. Actually, the bureaucracy has evolved, and in case of India, bureaucracy is not a product of British era. If we look into the Indian civilizational story, India have always been led by the different and able bureaucrats. Be the Ashoka, the different Amatyas, and the different system they have evolved. Be the Mauryan Empire, basically Ashoka was the part of the Mauryan Empire, or the Akbar the Great. Both have a very vital influence of bureaucracy. The system has changed, different mechanism was there. In essence, the present bureaucracy which we see in a form of IS and IPS and many other posts as well. The IS and IPS is of basically face value of bureaucrats. Everyone, whenever parents actually suggest someone to become bureaucrat, they have a vision that either you become DM or SP, because they actually look these people on the ground and they understand that power they hold. So when we start preparation about civil service, it is better to understand that what is the service, why bureaucracy, why you want to be part of it. Weber said that it is a very hierarchical, structured organization. But in fact, if we look into the modern era of bureaucracy, it has evolved. It has evolved in a sense that now the demand of flatter organization are there. The demand that not only controlled by the upper echelon, the top-down bureaucracy has also evolved into the bottom-up bureaucracy. The different mechanism which has evolved, like the social media, that has also increased our accountability. Along with that, the different measures, especially the demand of RTI, that every democratic citizen, every democratic country should empower their own citizens so that they have a better control of their own affair. So as of now, we have come for the discussion of that how the bureaucracy function, why you want to be part of bureaucrat, why you want to be the part of the system, what is the necessary aspect which you should keep in mind when you try to prepare for it. The first thing is that we have already somehow debated and discussed that what bureaucracy has evolved from the Ashokan time to the present time. There is a famous statement by Sardar Patel, that actually underline the importance of bureaucrats. Basically, the most important IAS and IPS. That when India became independent, there were a lot of princely states. They have their own demand, they have their own challenges. So when Indian civil service, that was known as at that time, and Indian police, that was known at that time of British era. So lot of freedom fighter have the opinion that these organizations should be disbanded because they have exploited, they have feudal tendency, they have implemented those law which we now call as a black law, for example Roletta Act, many other law they have implemented. So very negative perception of these organizations were there. But Patel saw the IS and IPS as a force that will unify India, that will create a nation state. I think most of people will be aware about the nation state and the state nation concepts. So the first objective that when you try to become, or when you think about that why you want to become bureaucrat, you need to underline this objective. That the purpose of IS and IPS is not the power, not the beacon light, not the good bangla. Rather, it is a goal which has been set by Sardar Patel, that it is a unifier. It will create a nation that will sustain for thousands of years. It is an organization which will help India to achieve the glorious objectives. We always claim that we were the Vishwaguru. I come from the land of Nalanda. You must have heard about the Nalanda University. We have provided knowledge all over the world. Something happened, some decadence has set into our civilizational structure somehow. Now, when you want to become bureaucrat, you need to have these perspective in the mind that you want to restore the glory of India. For that purpose, everyone is important. Civilian is important, lawyer is important. But why bureaucrat? Why you want to come to bureaucracy? The most important thing is that bureaucrats especially shape the policy. Any nation which stand, we must know that we are basically have given ourselves a constitution. What is a constitution? Constitution is a social contract. Social contract between the different set of citizens, different section of the society. We have developed a liberal values, liberal constitutions. Who will be the responsible person that will implement these ideas? It is the responsibility of bureaucracy. Because the executive which we talk about, there are two executive structure basically in India. One is a permanent, the other is a political executive. Political executive have their own constraints. Democracy have their own limitations, and obviously lot of benefits are there. But permanent bureaucrats look through and through. They are the real force which drives India to achieve the constitutional goal. It drives India to have the society which have been envisioned by our forefathers. The idea of Vishwaguru, the idea of India being a civilizational state, the idea that India will give to the world, the idea where India will be seen as a country that protects others, that saves others. From where it comes? It comes from the idea that bureaucrats which you will become, you will understand your responsibility. The responsibility that has been given by the different law, different rules, different expectation of the society. That is a different thing, that many expectation of the society, especially family, becomes very different when you become bureaucrats. So I'm not delving into that topic. So the objective of your bureaucracy, as I have mentioned, that you are the sole force, the force which is a subterranean. Because in general, we look IS as a DM and SP, IPS officer as a SP or SSP. We don't much look into the different force portfolio they hold. For example, when IDM promoted, they become secretary, under secretary, and then become cabinet secretary and chief secretaries. So ultimately, policy making comes into the hand of these bureaucrats, those who hold the position of power as a secretary, as a chief secretary. For example, the policy of Make in India, who will make this policy? The policy of Swachh Bharat Mission, who will make this policy? Who will impact this? The Skill India Mission. In fact, the reform in education, new education policy, who are they? Who are making these policy? Who will shape the India, the future India? If you guys are aware, must be aware that new education policy, for example, that has been brought, that has an agenda. That has an agenda that India will be a knowledge power, a society which is a vibrant, which have the knowledge-based economic structure. Everyone must be well educated. These ideals are written in the constitution. These policies are implemented by whom? Who are making these policies? These policies are made by bureaucrats. You must be aware about Ajit Doval, National Security Advisor. Indian internal security challenges. Let it be Naxalism, terrorism, communalism, any issue, any internal challenges which India faces. Who are making that policy? These IPS officers who become powerful after serving 30 to 40 years in the service. So ultimately, when you see the society are structured by these policies. You may not accept these policy as a reality, but ultimately it will impact. It will impact every one of you. Either you become the part of the policy making, or your future will be shaped by that policy. I'm giving an example of reservation. Lot of debate has happened that what should be the policy, what should be the action of affirmative action, what should be the extent of it. Lot of debate have happened in the Constituent Assembly. Ultimately, reservation has been given, and its impact can be seen in the empowerment of the different marginalized communities. So these things, how it has happened? It has happened because you see the action, you see that how the policies are being made, how the policy are being implemented, who are the policy makers. So ultimately, if you want to change anything, you have to become the part of the policy maker, policy making as well as policy implementation. The both action are done by bureaucrats. Bureaucrats not only do these things, rather they also provide valuable advices to the political executive that what should be the right action. So when I say that you want to be, you should come into the bureaucracy, the reason is that when you come into bureaucracy, the first thing is that you will bring your own energy, that you have looked the system into the different angle. Everyone have a different opinion. Everyone have a different bent of mind. They comes from different part of the society. So when the policy making starts, when policy implementation starts, these valuable input which you have taken from the society, which you have taken from the parents, which you have taken from the different educational institutions, that is actually reflected in your action. That is reflected in your policy making. When you understand the society, for example, if you understand the Indian society in a better sense, you will have a very nuanced approach toward an issue. You will not have a one-way action like what is a black and white. You will understand that gray zone exists. You will understand that gray zone, the policy which we need to draft so that we can have a better outcome from these gray zones. You will understand that. And for that purpose, lawyer community, for example, are well versed in these aspects of law and nuances of CRPC, IPC, which we are studying here also. Constitutional framework. Everything is there, the basic structure are there. On that basis, you are trying to become a bureaucrat. When you become bureaucrats, these laws, these aspects, these knowledge actually become very powerful tool. It is said that, for example, in IPS, for example, in NPA, we are being trained and we have been taught many times now that in a few, I have joined academy on 28th of March. But since then, lot of time I have been given lecture about that you should be a good lawyer. Because if you are a good lawyer, the file which you, for example, you are an IPS officer, you will head the police in district. When any constable or any SHO file an FIR, that need the knowledge of law, that need the nuances that you understand. For example, investigation. For when we become IPS officer, we basically head the organizations. So when we investigate, the Investigation Evidence Act, all these become very handy. And when you are a lawyer, you have extra advantage in this aspect. So the first thing is that you should be very clear that why you want to come. If you want to come for this service, that you want to become very prestigious and very, very famous, then that is a very short-term goal. Because for my personal experience, I consider that any person has a two dimension. One is a personal dimension, and second is a social dimension. The personal goal which you set, you will achieve ultimately. You have that potential. There is no doubt about it. If you want to become a better lawyer, that you will become. That is for sure. No one can put an obstacle against you, and you will not be able to challenge that obstacle. You will surely pass that obstacle. But what is your social contribution? How you want to contribute? In this sense, we actually are talking about the bureaucracy. For example, if we talk about the Indian foreign policy are made by different bureaucrats. The present foreign minister, Jaishankar, if you guys have a time, go and see his responses against the different allegations that have been made on India. Because he has a lot of knowledge about Indian foreign policy. He has been the policy maker of Indian foreign policy. He knows the nuances of the different countries. He understands things through and through. Similarly, when you become IPS or IAS, if you have the knowledge of law, you will also have a good hold over things. The second aspect, that if you don't have the social dimension, that why you want to come, why you want to have the social responsibility. Now, you guys must be aware about the CSR aspect, which we have introduced through the Company Act, and before basically 2% are paid by the CSR companies to the different social organizations. So we also have a social responsibility, because a lot of political scholar, I am also a student of political science. There is a statement by Aristotle that every man is actually a political animal, even a social animal as well. So when you live in a society, you have a social responsibility. What are the social responsibility of a lawyer? Can anyone suggest? Zoya, Shavia, Shania, anyone?
Sir, the social responsibility of a lawyer is to check the rules and regulations. I mean, how they shape the society to make them in accordance with the benefit of the society. This is the social responsibility of a lawyer. I mean, to prevent the misuse of rules and regulations.
Okay.
And so we can say that the social responsibility is to eliminate injustice because our socio-economic conditions are not so good. So in order to be a good lawyer, we should be indulged in pro bono services also and help out people.
Okay. Why law is very important? Why we need
Sir,
law?
to maintain peace, sir.
Maintain peace. Okay, why peace is important?
To maintain order.
Why order is important?
Promote harmony in the
Sir, to
society.
regulate, sir, to regulate any states.
Any state?
Sir, any nation.
No.
For the sake for the development of any country. We need peace and harmony.
Sir, to live in a civilized and peaceful society.
So it helps in proper functioning of the society, basically.
Proper functioning. Everyone is actually correct in some sense. The purpose of law is actually why we make law. The purpose of law is everyone is somehow correct that peace is necessary. The order need to be maintained. There is some scholar known as J.S. Mill. I think he has suggested that the harm principle should be implemented so that nobody can harm the other as well. A different conception of law also exists, but law is important, and lawyer are basically, I think, the whole what you call it, the philosopher and guide of lawmaking process. Lawmaking is necessary because if you know the law, you know how the society is structured, how the society gives values to things. For example, in case of India, if you guys must be aware that IPC 377, I think that is related to the basically homosexuality. That was an act that has been made that was basically struck down in some sense. So what it shows, 377 was not actually violating the peace in the society. That was not actually violating the order in the society, but there is a Victorian notion of the morality. So ultimately, the law which you make a reflection of the society, because ultimately why society is making law because the society want to have a better proper functioning. Someone was saying proper functioning so that everyone can achieve their highest goal. Everyone can achieve what they want. If they have the opinion, if they want to become bureaucrat, they can become. If they want to have a better quality of life, he or she can become. So bureaucrats are actually that. Bureaucrats are basically providing the avenue. It is a kind of a track that are provided for vehicles to move fast. If the bureaucratic structure are flawed, then you may see our neighboring country, how they are facing the issues. And if you look into Pakistan, the military structure is so strong that the civilian bureaucrats are not able to implement their policies. If you look into the Sri Lankan economy, they are collapsed. How they have collapsed? Because the track that should be developed by the bureaucrats so that nations can move on that have not been allowed to develop. Somehow, someone interfered, someone interrupted. In India, it is a kind of a miracle in the third world country that you got us. There are criticism of, obviously there are criticism. There are many things need to be reformed in the bureaucracy. But ultimately, bureaucrats have made India into such a powerful economy that it is a 3 trillion economy. It is the fourth largest armed forces in India. It is known as a sweet spot in the world economy. It basically everyone. If you look into the Ukraine crisis, every country want to have India on their side. Russian foreign minister was there. US has sent their own secretaries. Everyone, Zelensky has also called prime minister. So these are the actions which actually reflect in a larger perspective. So I am saying that law lawyers have their own responsibility. They need to make law. They need to prevent injustices in the society. But isn't it a better that you implement that law? If you are, there are two things. Either you take the preventive measures for any disease, any evils, or you take the proactive action. If you are taking a proactive action, that will have a better result. You will be the in charge of social justice. For example, in a district, let me give an example. In a district, for example, in Bihar, 30 to 40 lakh people sleep. You as a district magistrate can impact their life in a different aspect. You can impact their life in a health aspect. If you look at the Article 21, the life and liberty, and look at the different judgment given by Supreme Court, a life and liberty is not the undignified life. It has been expanded after Maneka Gandhi case. Everything from the environment to the sleep to marriage, everything has been given a kind of part of the living a dignified life. What is liberty? Amar Sen talks about the creative freedom. You should have the freedom that will lead to the better being and doing. So you as a lawyer will protect few of the people. If you become parliamentarian, that will be a different aspect. But if you are a lawyer, you will give a justice to some. If you become judge, even if you become Supreme Court judge, your order will have impact. That is for sure. But the area of impact, I think, will never be that can be done by a DM. A DM, I am saying that DM is just a baby in front of secretaries. That how they impact the different policies and how it impact everyone's life. So the area of social dimension is very, very big. So even if you are a police officer, if you prevent some right, any right, you are saving lives. You are saving lives in the front of your eye. If you provide justice to some women who have been sexually harassed, you prevent injustice. You prevent injustice. You provide justice. If your investigation is sure, you guys must have heard about the Nirbhaya case. The investigation done by the DCP, ma'am. That has led to the ultimate persecution of them, and that has led to the judgment given by the courts and ultimately upheld by Supreme Court. So these acts actually enhances your essence. That what is, if you have the essence that law, you read the law's social responsibility is to provide justice, provide peace in the society, provide better functioning of the society. Then as a bureaucrat, it is a kind of exponential expansion of your social responsibility. You will touch everyone. No one will remain untouched. If you are part of a bureaucracy, if you become a DM, if you become secretary, you will have an option to basically change the nature of the society. You will have that power. For example, Indian economic reform that has happened, especially after 1990, that is said by Rao Manmohan model. It is true that Manmohan Singh was economist and all these things, but lot of reform has always started in Rajiv Gandhi's era also. So, in fact, the different programs which now exist, Amitabh Kant, Niti Aayog, electrical vehicle policies, Delhi's pollution, even Arvind Kejriwal, he is also a bureaucrat. So I'm saying that you will have a better understanding of the society. You will know that you can touch everyone. You can provide justice. Yes, Talha, we will start some conversation, question answer session in a few more minutes. So I think I have little bit conveyed that what bureaucrats actually do. In some sense, I am not complete bureaucrat as of now. I am going under process. It is said that when someone starts into the service, it is like a caterpillar. So after training, they become actually butterfly. So I'm going that process, and it is kind of hectic process, especially in police. Otherwise, in IS and other services, it is okay because police demand different level of fitness and different level of understanding of the society. Because ultimately, police has to face the crooked element of the society. So I think little knowledge which I have conveyed message with respect to the bureaucracy and how it functions. On the aspect of UPSC preparation, I will talk for a few minutes. That if you have decided, if you have thinking about, you are thinking that I should go for this exam. It is better to have a clear vision that why you trying to become IAS, IPS, or any other service. Why you want to come? You should be clear cut in your objective goal. You should make that why I want. You have to be very clear. If your vision, if your idea, if your goal is not able to push you hard, then you should not come into this service, because this is not a bureaucrat. This is not a corporate job. This is not a job where you can basically will not do anything and that will be okay. If you will not do anything, that will lead to injustice. If you sit idle, that will lead to chaos in the society. Your casualness will lead to losses of the life. So you have to be, one line of your writing may impact lakhs of the population in the country. So when you want to come into the service, think thoroughly. Why you want to come? Be very clear about it. That I have this goal. I have seen this goal. I want to do this thing. Then come for this service. There are many challenges that if you will read that many bureaucrats have been shunted out, or they have been given shunting posting. That is true. You will face these challenges as well. But the issue is that if you have a 30-year of career, then at least you will get 3 to 4 years or 5 years where you will be asked to work. And if you have a very clear mindset, if your thought process is very clear, if you understand that these things should be implemented, you will do wonder and you will be recognized for that. So the vision should be very clear that why you want to come. The second is that after you have decided that you want to come into this service, then as every exam have basically this 3-step formula. First, you have to understand the syllabus, that what is the syllabus, what are the expectation from it, what they expect from us. Then after studying the syllabus, I think you guys must be aware that as of now, there are prelim exam, mains exam, and interview. For the prelim, it is a qualifying. Prelim has a 2 paper, GS1 and GS2. GS1 is a 200 marks paper, and that is actually a scoring paper. And GS2 is just a qualifying paper. It checks the CSAT and language ability. The second is after qualifying prelims, you will write mains. And in mains, there is 1 paper of essay and 4 paper of GS, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4. That has a different dimension. Different topics have been covered into it. Along with that, you have to take 1 optional paper. You can keep a law as an optional paper, or you can have a political science, or whichever you want. Because one of my friend, he was IPS. He entered through the law. Now he's an IAS through the political science. So people switch actually. When you feel that what is comfortable for you, you can switch it. So you have to keep 1 optional. And UPSC, if you look into the notification, they provide that what options you can have. And for that purpose, they also have a very defined syllabus. And if you read that syllabus in a proper manner, you will get through this exam. The second step is that what I have said, that you should know that what they expect from you. And for that purpose, you have to look into the examinations question paper. For example, that is for also for prelim as well as for mains. You have to go and purchase the question paper, especially the solve question paper. The different coaching materials are there. In fact, I found that for mains purpose, the 8-year Drishti solve paper was much better than other that are existing for GS especially. For optional
For prelim, sir.
Prelim, we'll talk to it. Actually, prelim is some kind of a dicey thing, and in a prelim, the syllabus are very defined actually in a sense that if you look into any video of the topper, there are very standard book which you have to read. For example, in the case of polity, you have to read Lakshmikan. That is a kind of defined thing. You have to read selected chapter, not all the chapter, because all chapters do not come to prelim. For modern India, spectrum is kind of sufficient. For environment, we used to study Shankar, but now it is not. They are not asking much. You have to find out the questions they are asking. For example, they are now asking about the species, that where it is found. They are asking about national parks, and so you can have the chart of national parks and understand that which rivers and which kind of flora and fauna are there. Along with that, economics. Economics you can read if you are reading in Hindi. Then I don't have much source. But if you are in English, then Shriram's material, Shriram's coaching material of economics is a very good. But you have to purchase the latest book of that, because that have a scheme as well as the data, in fact, that will be helpful for your preparation. Along with the, I think, economics history, ancient history and medieval history. For medieval history, actually, they ask about some special words and name that you have to actually look from the different source. There are no source, as of my understanding, that there are many sources which you have to sift through. On the aspect of current affair. Current affair you have to read thoroughly, and for that thing, actually, the newspaper is the ultimate source. But you don't have to make notes for it, because it will become very bulky and you will not be able to revise it. Because I did that, I was using my laptop for collecting that source on my material, and in the last moment I wasn't able to revise. So it is better that you read some topic, and when you are find some fact or some very important thing that you think that it will come into prelim, then you write that. Don't write every editorial and every conversation or every interview. Don't do these things, and don't cut paste all the newspaper articles and magazines. Just have your opinion. For example, if the topic of discussion is going on Ukraine war, Ukraine crisis, you should understand that why it is happening. In a case of prelim, you should understand that what are the neighboring state of Ukraine, what are the neighboring state of Russia. These the question they may ask, because the Black Sea and all they may ask. On the science and tech aspect, basically I was engineer, so I don't have much doubt in this aspect. However, you can easily do if you read some coaching material. Any coaching material is sufficient. I think Vision is a better option. For example, if you want to understand the hypersonic missile, what is its purpose, the India's different missile programs, space programs, or artificial intelligence, machine learning, these things you will just have to understand that how it functions, what is its purpose. For example, drone, artificial intelligence, these are the 5G. These are disruptive technologies. So you should understand that. You should basically grasp it, that yes, it is a disruptive technology, how it functions, blockchain technology, for example. So understand the concept, that how it functions. For that, to remind yourself, you can make a short notes. That is sufficient. But if you think that everything should be noted down, your note should be ideal, in UPSC will not be able to make an ideal notes. So never go for idealism. Always go for pragmatism. So I think in a prelim, the most important fact is not knowledge. You will get knowledge from these sources, and everyone is actually reading this source. In fact, if you want to add some 1-2 book, that is more than enough. But the important thing for prelim is the attitude, the how to approach the question. In a prelim, if you write the paper, Even after reading these books and newspaper, you will not be able to cross 50 questions. That is for sure. You will not be able to cross. So how to score 110 and 120 marks so that you can clear prelim? In that process, actually, your attitude of attempting questions become very handy. You need to understand that how to logically deduce the options, that how to basically logically connect the different options so that you can eliminate some options, you can logically tick some answers. You have to take risk, and for that purpose, you have to attempt more question as well, so that the probability of correction is increased by your logical deduction, not by your knowledge. Your knowledge is a kind of surface that provides you tool to basically reduce or basically use the logic so that you can achieve a better result. Those person who are basically reading lot of things and they are not making or they are not developing the attitude of solving those questions which they don't know, they will not be able to qualify prelim. This is a kind of a paper the UPSC are trying to make, that they don't want coaching materials to dominate over the prelim especially. So the prelim has become dicey for it, and for that purpose, if you develop that attitude, you will clear prelims. If you don't develop, if you are not going for it, you will struggle for it. That is for sure. So for that purpose, you can take any coaching material. I find actually Vision test series was good because lot of difficult questions were there. So you never give up. If you don't know any fact, there are two questions. One question are very factual. Either you know or you don't know. You can leave that question. But some questions where you know something, you have to eliminate amongst the four options. So you have to learn the logical techniques. There are many techniques which have been developed by different students, and if you come into contact of these techniques, don't apply the techniques because they are basically pre-trial method. In, for example, they develop their techniques from the previous year paper. So in the next paper, that theory or that technique may not apply. So that has their own hazard. You can take the risk. That is a riskier thing. So on the mains aspect, that is a more important aspect. In the mains, especially essay is something which is very scoring. If you are very good at opening different dimensions, if you can bring the different aspect, different perspective, if you have a very critical mindset, not critical, no, relatively better analytical mindset. Critical is something which is very much understood as a negative thing. So for that purpose, when I was saying that when you have to read the editorial and newspaper, the purpose is that you have a better understanding in a sense that you have a multiple perspective of things. For example, if a mob lynching is happening in the society, you should not have a very straightforward opinion. You should understand the nuances of the society. It is a society in a transition. Different economic forces are working. Different social forces are working. So these things, you have to look into these aspects. After that aspect, after that opinion, you can make your opinion. So when you will write in any essay on mob lynching, and if you have done these things, your essay will be outstanding. Your essay will not be replicated by anyone because that is your own analytical ability. You are bringing the different scholar, different dimension. You can bring, if you are a lawyer, you can bring the different luminaries. If you are a political science expert, you can bring the political science thinker in that. So you can use different dimensions, whichever you are in comfort. So the essay, you have to basically develop these mindset, and for that purpose, I am suggesting you to read newspaper regularly. You can read the Hindu or Indian Express, whichever you want, but nowadays Indian Express are better. Earlier the Hindu was better, some sense. The second is GS paper. GS paper has a clearly defined syllabus. You have to basically understand that what type of questions they are asking from the different source. For example, if you look into GS1, so GS1 start from art and architecture, then history, then geography, then world history. These syllabus parts are there. You have to basically prepare every part of that. You cannot skip anything. The second portion is the GS2, that is the polity and governance aspect, and health and education is also there. In the GS3 is a big topic, especially because it covers economics, science and tech, disaster management, internal security, defense, and all these things. So it is a kind of big topic. The GS4 is ethics. Ethics is basically you have to read in a different dimension because it is not much related to GS. On the optional you have to be expert in that, because they are expecting that if you are choosing optional, then you must be expert in that. So you will not get good marks if you are writing optional as a GS. So the first thing is that for any GS paper or mains paper, to understand that syllabus, you print out the question paper, understand that, and then go to the toppers copy and look at how they are writing. Because those toppers copy, if you look into the different toppers copy, there are kind of some similarities, some common sub traits are there that you have to find out and try to implement in your answer, because UPSC has appreciated those aspects. So rather than going with your own understanding, go with the topper. You bring your own innovation, that is your unique aspect, but you have to understand what UPSC demands and how UPSC appreciating mains paper. Because a lot of students, even that was a problem I had also faced, that it become very different, that you know a lot of things, but you have to write only in 250 words. And for that, how to introduce, how to make a body, how to conclude that becomes very tricky, because you know many things. If you have read about the Indian Constitution, if you have read the right of privacy, you can write 3 to 4 pages, but you have to write 250 or 150 words, and in that your answer should look like that you have know multiple things. So you have to develop this art. UPSC answer writing is an art. You have to develop it. Interview is a very good step. Actually, you can score very good marks, but you have to have some seriousness. When you are good at essay, you will in fact score good marks in interview also. The reason is that the bent of mind they actually require, the analytical bent of mind, that you are not straightforward. You look nuances, you understand things, then you are making an opinion. You look the world from your open eyes. You are not looking from some glass ceiling. Norms, values, culture, society, traditions are not hindering you to see other aspects also. So these will be appreciated. Any questions? I think we have very 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Anyone have any questions? They can ask.
I have one question. Hello.
हाँ हेलो.
Yes sir. Good evening sir. Sir, अगर कोई प्रिपरेशन शुरू करना चाह रहा है, इनिशिएट करना चाह रहा है, सर वो कैसे शुरू कर सकता है? मतलब कि स्ट्रेटजी क्या हो, मतलब कौन सा बुक वो पहले पढ़े, और ग्रेजुएशन के किस ईयर से मतलब तैयारी करना सही रहेगा इस पे सर?
देखो, इसमें क्या है कि आप जहां से भी पढ़ रहे हो ना, सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि आप ग्रेजुएशन अच्छे से करो. ठीक है. जो आइडिया ऑफ एक्सीलेंस है ना, आइडिया ऑफ एक्सीलेंस हमेशा परसू करनी चाहिए, पहला चीज. तो जहां भी पढ़ रहे हो अच्छे से पढ़ो. ठीक है. हाँ, ये है कि आप यूपीएससी की तैयारी कब शुरू करनी चाहिए, तो पहले क्लियर हो जाओ कि व्हाई यू वांट टू प्रिपेयर फॉर इट. ठीक है. दूसरा, यूपीएससी की तैयारी में जो इशू होता है, वो सबसे पहला इशू ये होता है कि फाइनेंशियल. तो इफ यू हैव अ गुड फाइनेंशियल बैकग्राउंड, देन दैट इज ओके, क्योंकि फाइनेंशियल कंस्ट्रेंट आते हैं. पहला अटेम्प्ट होगा, दूसरा अटेम्प्ट होगा, क्योंकि श्योरिटी पता नहीं होती है कि आप यू विल एंटर इनटू फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट. हाँ, यू शुड प्रिपेयर फॉर फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट इन अ वेरी सीरियस मैनर. जो एस्पेक्ट, जो नॉलेज के एस्पेक्ट से जो ध्यान देनी चाहिए, वो ये है कि यूपीएससी का एग्जाम सबसे पहली बात कि जल्दी में नहीं देना चाहिए. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि बस मुझे किसी दोस्त ने बताया वो भी दे रहा है तो चलो मैं भी दे देता हूँ और अटेम्प्ट बर्बाद कर लेता हूँ। अटेम्प्ट बर्बाद नहीं करना है। जब आपने तैयारी हो गई, तैयारी होने का मतलब ये है कि इफ यू विल क्लियर प्रीलिम यू विल अपीयर इन इंटरव्यू, मतलब कि आप मेंस क्लियर करोगे तभी अटेम्प्ट देने का मतलब है, नहीं तो देने का मतलब नहीं है। तो जो बेसिक मैंने बताया वही है। अगर पढ़ना आप सब कुछ आपका क्लियर है, सब कुछ हाँ बिल्कुल है, मतलब 100% श्योर हो कि तैयारी करना है, तो वही तरीका है, जाकर सिलेबस प्रिंट करा के ले आओ, प्रीवियस ईयर के 5-7 साल के पेपर उठा के ले आओ, ठीक है। उसके बाद सिलेबस देखो, डिफरेंट सोर्सेस आप इंटरनेट पे सर्च कर सकते हो, पहले सिलेबस क्लियर कर लो। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आर्ट एंड आर्किटेक्चर है सिलेबस में लिखा, तो आर्ट एंड आर्किटेक्चर का मैंडेट क्या है, व्हाट क्वेश्चंस दे आर आस्किंग इन दिस टॉपिक, यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट। उसके लिए प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर का अपना हेल्प लो कि आर्ट एंड आर्किटेक्चर से ये डिफरेंट डिफरेंट लेवल के क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, ठीक है। उसको आपने लिस्ट डाउन कर लो कि लिटरेचर से ये आ रहा है, ठीक है, एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री के दूसरे एस्पेक्ट से ये आ रहा है, कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट से ये आ रहा है। तो आप अंडरस्टैंड नेचर ऑफ क्वेश्चन समझो बैठ के आराम से, क्या अच्छा इस तरह के क्वेश्चन है, उसके बाद पढ़ो। नहीं तो पढ़ने का कोई लिमिट नहीं है, यूपीएससी इतना वाइड सिलेबस है कि पढ़ने जाओगे कभी खत्म नहीं होने वाला है। दूसरा ये है कि जो ऑप्शनल उठाना चाह रहे हो, जो भी ऑप्शनल रखना चाह रहे हो, ऑप्शनल में 2-3 बातों का ध्यान रखना कि ऑप्शनल का इस बातों का ध्यान रखना कि पहली चीज कि उसमें तुम्हारा इंटरेस्ट हो, क्योंकि यू आर नॉट श्योर दैट इन फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में तुम्हारा हो जाएगा, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, इंटरेस्ट नहीं है तो तुम पढ़ ही नहीं पाओगे, पढ़ ही नहीं पाओगे तो स्कोर नहीं आएगा, सिंपल सी बात है, क्योंकि यू हैव टू एक्सपर्ट इन दैट टॉपिक। तो दूसरी बात उसमें यह ध्यान रखनी चाहिए कि वो मटेरियल भी अवेलेबल हो, मतलब आपके पास रिसोर्स हो कि वो मटेरियल आप परचेज कर लो या खरीद के पढ़ लो। तीसरी चीज ये है कि उसका जो है अगर ओवरलैप होता है किसी जीएस के साथ तो दैट इज अ बेटर ऑप्शन, यू विल सेव सम एनर्जी। बट ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर ओवरलैप नहीं होता तो लोग नहीं कर रहे हैं, कर रहे हैं, बस ये है कि थोड़ा एफर्ट ज्यादा लगाना पड़ेगा। इन 3-4 बातों का ध्यान रखो। और टॉपर की कॉपी और टॉपर्स जो हैं, जो टॉपर्स स्पेशली, जैसे ऐसा होता है ना कि कभी कभी ऐसा नहीं जाना कि टॉपर जैसे रैंक 1 है ना तो सारी उसकी सारी कॉपी फॉलो करूंगा। होता यह है कि जैसे GS4 है तो इथिक्स में कोई अलग टॉप करता है तो उसकी कॉपी पकड़ो, 4-5 टॉपर को पकड़ो, उसकी कॉपी देखो कैसे लिखते हैं। GS1 में कौन टॉप किया, उसकी 4-5 टॉपर की कॉपी पकड़ो, उसको देखो, 2-3 साल वाले को देख लो। ऐसा नहीं है कि जीएस जो ट्रैक 1 होता है उसका हो सकता है सब में एवरेज मार्क्स हो, मतलब एवरेज मतलब अच्छा स्कोर हो, लेकिन वो किसी में टॉपर नहीं हो सकता है, उसके बाद भी टॉप किया हो। लेकिन आपको पकड़ो उसको जो सिलेबस में उस पेपर में टॉप किया है, उसको देखो कैसे लिखता है। तो इन 3-4 चीजों का ध्यान रखो और उस आर्ट को अपने अंदर कर लोगे तो हो जाना चाहिए। अदर क्वेश्चन?
यस सर, आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन सर।
जल्दी।
जितना सर जो बताया जाता है कि यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में एनसीईआरटी का बहुत ज्यादा वेटेज होता है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंग हमें एनसीईआरटी को कितना इंपॉर्टेंस देना चाहिए यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में?
सीसेट को
व्हाट सर?
सीसेट बोल रहे हो? हेलो?
एनसीईआरटी सर,
एनसीईआरटी सर नहीं
एनसीईआरटी?
सर,
अच्छा, अरे
जैसे बताया
देखो,
जाता है ना सर यूपीएससी
नहीं
की
नहीं देखो, हाँ
प्रिपरेशन।
ज्योग्राफी, मैंने एक चीज भूल गया था, ज्योग्राफी के लिए एनसीईआरटी पढ़ी जाती है। हाँ, रही बात एनसीईआरटी की, तो आई हैव रेड एनसीईआरटी फ्रॉम द क्लास ऑफ 6 टू क्लास 12, बट मैं फैक्ट बताऊं तो कोई फायदा नहीं है, टू बी वेरी लिटरल, कोई फायदा नहीं है, टाइम बर्बाद मत करो। तुमको जो इशू भी होता है गो एंड सर्च ऑन द गूगल, सब ने मटेरियल बना रखा है, किसी भी कोचिंग का मटेरियल उठा लोगे, पढ़ा, समझ आ जाएगा तुम्हें। इससे कोई रिजिड नहीं है, इसमें कोई रिजिडिटी नहीं है। यूपीएससी के साथ अच्छी बात यही है, इसने कोई बुक रिकमेंड नहीं किया है। एनसीईआरटी पढ़ने के लिए इसलिए कहते थे लोग कि पहले कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी डायरेक्ट आ जाते थे, अब लेवल बढ़ गया है, अब नहीं आते। पहली बात तो ये। दूसरा ये, आपको कॉन्सेप्ट समझना है। अब फॉर एग्जांपल बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट क्या होता है, डिप्रिसिएशन ऑफ करेंसी क्या होता है, अप्रिसिएशन क्या होता है, मार्केट रेट क्या होता है, एक्सचेंज रेट क्या होता है, अब ये सब कॉन्सेप्ट है। अब अगर तुम्हें श्री राम की इकोनॉमिक्स खरीदने से तुम्हें पता चल रही है सारी बातें, तो एनसीईआरटी पढ़ने की तुम्हें जरूरत क्या है? क्यों जा रहे हो एफर्ट बढ़ाने के लिए? पढ़ना चाहो तो पढ़ सकते हो, समझ रहे हो? मतलब अगर तुम्हें इतना टाइम है कि तुम्हें मतलब मजा आ रहा है पढ़ने में तो पढ़ सकते हो, लेकिन दैट इज अ काइंड ऑफ, आई डोंट फील दैट कॉस्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस में एनसीईआरटी बैठता है। हाँ, एनसीईआरटी की ज्योग्राफी 11th 12th बैठती है, कॉस्ट बेनिफिट में, तो वो मतलब सोर्स ही है, ज्योग्राफी के लिए वही पढ़ी जाती है ज्योग्राफी के लिए, और दूसरी तरफ जाना काइंड ऑफ टाइम वेस्ट हो जाता है। हाँ, इसमें ये है कि थोड़ा बहुत ऐड कर सकते हो, जैसे ज्योग्राफी में जैसे बताया, तो थोड़ा बहुत कहीं से भी ऐड कर सकते हो, जैसे PMFIS है, उसके ज्योग्राफी के नोट्स काफी अच्छे हैं। इकोनॉमिक्स में श्रीराम को अगर पढ़ लिए उसके बाद भी ऐड करना है तो मुरनाल के वीडियो पढ़े हैं। ज्योग्राफी में मुरनाल के ही कोई मैम थी, वो उनका वीडियो भी अच्छा था। तो ये सब थोड़ा सा ऐड ऑन कर सकते हो, लेकिन NCERT मेरा सजेशन तो नहीं है भाई। और क्वेश्चन?
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Sir, my question is, can you say some effective tips to revise and consolidate the syllabus once you have gone through it? And also, what role do test series play in our preparation?
For the revision aspect, you have to make short notes. Short notes in a sense that, for example, if you are reading governor, so ultimately in one page you should have all the aspect of governor. For example, the constitutional article related to governor, what the different case laws related to governors, what the Sakaria Commission, Panchi Commission, and other NCRWC has said about the commissions. Governor. You should have briefly, because, for example, at some point, for example, you how to remind something in a short time. You have to give command to that, and for that commanding purpose, you need to have short notes. So actually, don't make short notes in a first reading. Read 2-3 times, cover syllabus in appropriate manner, then make short notes, and that will be sufficient. One page short notes for every topic, that will be very easy. For example, if you are reading blockchain, read what is blockchain. For example, you can write definition, you can make a chart that what are the different dimensions which it can be used. Because if you understand that how blockchain function, where it can be used, you can draw itself. On the other aspect, what is the second question? Second question.
Sir, what role do test series play in consolidating our?
It's actually very important. In a prelim, I told you that it will help you to have a better attitude in attempting questions which you don't know. But don't go for those test series which are very random. For example, when I was preparing, there was some of the student at RCA was basically writing insight. I found their questions very factual, and when you read too much of the fact, you will not be able to make strategies. So you have to make a strategy through reading reading those things which are related, which can be attempted. If you, for example, if you don't know the fact, how can you attempt that question? First thing. The second thing, I'm not saying that insight is bad, but in a comparative analysis, vision was the better. But the one limitation are there. Whenever you are writing one test series, don't stick to that. Try the other test series also. I'm not saying to purchase the second test series. You can somehow borrow or something. You can do. For example, if you are writing prelim test series from vision, at least you should attempt full test series of the 2-3 other institutions as well, at least 4 to 6 times, because vision have their own biases and your mind will adjust accordingly. So you have to basically go in UPSC through a very unbiased mind, and for that purpose you have to have a different test series that will help. In a mains aspect, actually vision have a better standing because I have also evaluated copy at vision. So copies are, I understand that the different layering mechanism that vision has introduced. That, for example, if some are evaluating your copies for mains, then that copy are also evaluated by some other evaluator, basically the higher one, and accordingly the evaluator also got graded with respect to that copy. That is, and accordingly that will be paid. So the different mechanism, the check balance mechanism of vision is for the better. And in fact, the questions, and if you look into the UPSC, many questions are from the vision test series. Okay. Any other question?
हेलो सर।
हाँ
सर यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में कोचिंग का कितना इम्पोर्टेंस है, और विदाउट कोचिंग एंड सेल्फ स्टडी से हम यूपीएससी क्लियर कर सकते हैं क्या?
कोचिंग का इम्पोर्टेंस है। कोचिंग का इम्पोर्टेंस ये है, सबसे पहला इम्पोर्टेंस ये होता है कि आपको ये बता देते हैं कि सिलेबस कहाँ तक है, ठीक है, कहाँ तक पढ़ना है, एक ये होता है। दूसरा ये होता है कि आपको कुछ अच्छे दोस्त मिल जाते हैं, पीयर ग्रुप, ठीक है, जो आपको पढ़ने में आपकी हेल्प करते हैं। रही बात कंटेंट की ना, तो किसी कोचिंग की कंटेंट इतनी अच्छी, कंटेंट इन द सेंस कोई टीचर क्लास में इतना अच्छा नहीं पढ़ाता। वो टीचर बहुत अच्छा होगा लेकिन तुम्हें यूपीएससी करा दे ऐसा कोई टीचर नहीं है, ठीक है। तो हाँ, कोचिंग के मटेरियल बहुत अच्छे हैं, जैसे वाजीराम के जो येलो बुक है बहुत अच्छी बुक है, विजन के अपने नोटबुक है वो बहुत अच्छे हैं, मतलब पढ़ के उसको खुद पढ़ के हो जाओगे। कोचिंग की जरूरत, देखो कोचिंग की जरूरत ये होती है कंटिन्यूटी थोड़ी मेंटेन रहे, कुछ पेयर प्रेशर रहता है तो उसमें पढ़ लेते हैं। हाँ, ऑप्शनल में कोचिंग सजेस्ट करता हूँ, क्योंकि ऑप्शनल थोड़ा स्पेशलाइज हो जाता है, तो आप खुद से जाओगे करने तो आपको बहुत सारी चीजें पता नहीं चलेगी। तो फॉर दैट पर्पस यू कैन गो फॉर कोचिंग। लेकिन फिर वही है कि कोचिंग में थोड़ा सा अपना सिलेबस हमेशा हमेशा जो है ना, अपना जीएस का सिलेबस और ये ऑप्शनल का सिलेबस हमेशा अपने साथ रखना, ताकि तुम्हें पता चलता रहे कि ये जो है ना मैडम ने नहीं पढ़ाया है या सर ने नहीं पढ़ाया है। दूसरी बात, मैंने वाजीराम और जितने भी लोग, मैंने जीएस की कोचिंग कहीं नहीं की थी, मैंने ऑप्शनल की कोचिंग की थी शुभ्रा रंजन के यहाँ। तो जीएस की बहुत सारे लोग नहीं करते हैं जीएस की कोचिंग, क्योंकि उसका क्लियर कट है, जीएस का सिलेबस दिया हुआ है, उसके टॉपिक टॉपर्स लोगों के तो अब कई सारे मटेरियल भी अवेलेबल हैं। आप टेलीग्राम ग्रुप पे जाओगे किसी के भी, तो यू विल फाइंड द डिफरेंट मटेरियल्स, उन्होंने जॉट डाउन करके अपने नोट्स बना रखे हैं, बहुत अच्छे से नोट्स बना रखे हैं। इनफैक्ट यू कैन जस्ट बोरो फ्रॉम देम और थोड़ा बहुत ऐड करके अपना खत्म कर सकते हो सिलेबस। तो उसको वही करो, और कोचिंग का इम्पोर्टेंस वही है। टेस्ट सीरीज अगर ले रहा है तो ठीक है, पढ़ाने के हिसाब से बहुत ज्यादा कोई फायदा नहीं है। अगर तुम कुछ भी नहीं पता है तो कोचिंग पढ़ाएंगे तो ऐसे भी नहीं पता चलेगा, क्योंकि कोचिंग वाले पढ़ाते दूसरे तरीके से हैं। अब वाजीराम वगैरह है, उनका तो अपना अलग लेवल चलता है, और ऑनलाइन कोचिंग करने का कोई बहुत ज्यादा फायदा मुझे नहीं लगता है। हाँ, ये है कि साइड से रख सकते हो कि अगर कोई टॉपिक, लेकिन तो पता फायदा नहीं होगा, कोई फायदा नहीं है। जो भी सिलेबस है ना, जो भी दिक्कत हो रहा है ना, वो तुम उसका मटेरियल डालना। फॉर एग्जाम्पल तुम्हें पढ़ना है इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, गूगल पर टाइप कर दो इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी विजन आईएएस मटेरियल, मिल जाएगा, ठीक है, पढ़ लो, खत्म हो जाएगा इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी। अपने नोट्स बना लेना, न्यूज़पेपर में आएंगे 2-4 पॉइंट ऐड कर लेना, ठीक है, एग्जाम्पल्स ऐड कर लेना, टॉपर की कॉपी से कुछ पॉइंट उठा लेना, हो गया तुम्हारा इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी तैयार। बस अब लिखने की प्रैक्टिस कर लेना, हो जाएगा इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, तुम अच्छे नंबर ले आओगे, ठीक है। उसी तरह सारे टॉपिक का वैसे ही है, कोचिंग कोचिंग करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है इसके। हाँ, टेस्ट सीरीज देना चाहिए। और क्वेश्चन?
सर हाउ टू क्लियर जेएमआई आरसीए? एक्चुअली बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं कि इस एग्जाम में भी बहुत से एक्सपीरियंस लोग पहले से जो सर्विसेज में होते हैं वो भी बैठते हैं, तो ये भी काफी हार्ड होता है।
हाँ, जामिया आरसीए जो है वो मुश्किल होता जा रहा है, ये बात सही है, क्योंकि कंपटीशन बढ़ गया है, क्योंकि अवेयरनेस बढ़ा है लोगों में। और दूसरी बात ये है कि वो जामिया आरसीए इनफैक्ट कोई कोचिंग वगैरह नहीं कराता है। वहाँ पे जामिया में रह रहे हो आप लोग को इतना आइडिया हो गया होगा, वहाँ पे एक कल्चर है कि कल्चर ऑफ लाइब्रेरी है और ओपन कल्चर है। ओपन कल्चर का सेंस ये है कि सब लोग ओपन है। अगर जैसे अगर कभी मैं अभी गया हुआ था आरसीए, तो सबसे मिलते हैं, पहले ईयर का हो चाहे मेरे साथ हो, सबसे, किसी से कोई मतलब काइंड ऑफ कर्टेन नहीं है, कोई हायरार्की नहीं है, जो वेबेरियन ब्यूरोक्रेसी है वहाँ नहीं है। तो सब आराम से बात करते हैं, तो इससे की वजह से होता ही है ना कि लोगों को पता चल जाता है। जैसे मैं पहली बार गया तो मुझे पता चल गया कि ये बुक पढ़नी है, आंसर ऐसे लिखना है, ठीक है, लोग बैठे होते हैं बता देते हैं। तो इसका फायदा होता है, कोई कोचिंग वोचिंग और किसी का कुछ फायदा नहीं है वहाँ पे। फायदा ये है कि 200 लड़के लड़कियां वहाँ पे तैयारी कर रही है। वहाँ पे कुछ ऐसे हैं जो वहाँ पे इंटरव्यू ऑलरेडी दे चुके हैं, कुछ ऐसे हैं जिसका सिलेक्शन हो चुका है, इसलिए तो वहाँ पे कंपटीशन इसलिए बढ़ गया है कि रैंक वगैरह आने लगे हैं रेगुलरली, तो कंपटीशन तो बढ़ेगा। और कंपटीशन बढ़ गया इसलिए तो, क्योंकि वो तैयारी कराते नहीं है ना, कोचिंग कराते नहीं है, तो इसीलिए वो उनका कंपटीशन का लेवल इस तरह हो गया है कि जो ऑलरेडी तैयार है ना, वही वही मतलब उस पेपर को कंप्लीट कर पाता है। लेकिन इससे जो डिसहार्टन होने की बात नहीं है, आप अपने सिलेबस की तैयारी अच्छे से करो, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली जामिया आरसीए गोल नहीं होता है, यूपीएससी गोल होता है। तो अपने हिसाब से यूपीएससी की तैयारी करो आप, जामिया आरसीए भी हो जाएगा, इसमें क्या है। और नहीं भी
Thank you,
होता है तो
sir.
क्या फर्क पड़ता है, जामिया आरसीए थोड़ी ना बेंचमार्क है, समझ रहे हो, उसका इतना टेंशन नहीं लेना है। हाँ ये है कि बेटर एनवायरनमेंट है, कोशिश करना चाहिए कि आ जाए, लेकिन नहीं आता तो ऐसा थोड़ी है कि वहीं से रिजल्ट आ रहा है। 20 रिजल्ट आता है पूरे सीट में, 680 सीट बाहर से आ रहे हैं ना, तो आप भी आ सकते हो, इसमें कोई ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि नहीं हुआ या कंपटीशन मुश्किल है या जो भी है नहीं हो रहा है। नहीं हो रहा है कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, इसमें कोई टेंशन नहीं लेना है।
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, और कोई क्वेश्चन? Any other question? हो गया?
Sir, I think there are no more questions anymore.
कहाँ क्वेश्चन है?
Sir, I think there is no question anymore. I would request Nabiha to please proceed the program.
But today's guest speaker, Mr. IPS Fazil Raza sir, has really proved to be a trailblazer and role model.
And the line for him in Hindi, which sums up the best spirit, जब इरादा किया ऊंची उड़ान का, फिर कद क्या देखा आसमान का. So if you have decided to fly high, there is no point worrying about the height of the sky.
Remember, the beginning is the toughest, but never give up whatever it takes.
So indeed, it was really a wonderful, insightful, and fruitful session. We hope that the knowledge and experience you earned from this will definitely help you to achieve your goal in life. We would like to thank our most honorable guest speaker, Mr. IPS Faisal Raza sir, to guide us the way of success by taking out his precious time for all of us. Then we would like to thank convener, co-convener, and each and every other member of his hard debating society who really worked hard to make this event possible and efficient. At last, but not the least, we want to thank our audience for making this session interactive with their gracious presence. With that, it's the time to wrap up this session. Please send us your feedback by writing to our YouTube channel, LinkedIn profile, Facebook, and Instagram page as well. We hope to see you again next week with some new guests, a new set of questions, the new high levels of energy, enthusiasm, and participation. But till then, goodbye. Take care.
Thank you
Goodbye.
so much, sir.
Thank you. It is a very good initiative, the debating society which has started. Lot of different people are actually trying to help the new beginners, especially. So it is very energetic from both of you, and especially where is Raghib. So lot of effort are being done by all of three. More people must be there in the background. So it is a good initiative. In fact, I also feel a little bit at ease that somehow I am also contributing in some sense social responsibility, which I have basically become through this examination qualification and all. So
Yes.
hopefully with this will have a better result. And if you have any query or if any session, many people are there. If you want to try to have some session, many Jamia RC people are here. So we'll try to arrange for it also.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you, Nabiha. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Leaving now.
Yes, sir, sure.
Bye, sir.
We request participants to join us on our WhatsApp group. The link has been sent on the chat box for further updates on the series and other events.